Hello all you beautiful people out there. I hope you have had or are having a fantastic day. If you're new around here, welcome. My name is Sam, the teenager who talks about teenage stuff because there simply isn't enough of it out there. Because in today's video, we're going to be talking about some more teenage tech, or rather student tech, and I'm just going to pick it up cheekily off my table like I do with all tech videos. It's the Kindle. We're gonna be talking about the Kindle. Guys, before we get into today's video, I'd like to remind each and every single one of you out there to please hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. It really helps support the channel. 89.7 of you aren't subscribed. That makes me quite sad. Guys, please, it really does showcase your support, and it actually helps the content get out there and help our little community of students grow. Nevertheless, guys, today we're going to be talking about this little piece of tech, which is on my table right here. It's the Kindle Paperwhite 10th generation and 8 gigabytes, I believe. Not 32, because you know I'm not planning on downloading 800 million books into my Kindle at once. But why did I get the Kindle now in 2021? Well, we'll need to talk about why I wanted a Kindle in the first place, or when I started wanting a Kindle in the first place. So about 2-3 years ago, I was like, oh, Kindle's cool. I think my sister got one a while back. I don't even remember when. But ever since then, I was like, oh my God, Kindles are cool. You know, the small little brother looking up to his sister, looking up to people around him who are of high intellect. I was like, ooh, Kindle, yeah. But essentially, it all started when I kind of started falling off the horse when it came to reading. You know, work started to pile up. I prioritized other things over reading, and I kind of just fell off the horse, to be completely honest. And I don't know, but I feel like it's going to start biting me in the ass very, very soon. And I can definitely say that a lot of you are out there who are probably watching this video are in the same position. Maybe this is the reason you want to get a Kindle. You saw the student review. I was like, hey, maybe this guy's in the same position as I am. Well, let me assure you, I am. That's essentially why I decided to get a Kindle, and I bought it about a week ago when I was scrolling through Amazon and noticed that this thing was 150 USD. I was like, wait, hang on, what? This thing's $150? I still remember when the Kindle used to be like 300 bucks just for the normal one. And that's why I was kind of holding off getting it, just because it was so expensive. For me personally, it was a no-brainer. So let me talk you through some of the features of the Kindle, why I decided to get the Kindle, and of course, why is it useful for students? Okay, so let's get right into it. One of the things I've noticed that the Kindle does quite well is, to quote Ali Abdal, it eliminates the friction of reading. So how many times have you gone like, oh yeah, I'll read tomorrow, I'll read the next day, because either you don't have a book, you don't know what to read. It's the end of the day, you're on your phone, you're looking through TikTok, you're looking at that blue light, which is stopping melatonin from being secreted into your body and into your brain. That's making you, that like essentially gives you that feeling of wanting to go to sleep. That's where the Kindle comes in. Instead of, you know, going through your phone, going through Instagram, going through TikTok, just keep your Kindle by the side of your bed, or keep your Kindle on your bedside table, and you'll go like, ooh, cool. If you're anything like me, at least, you'll go like, ooh, cool, Kindle. Let me pick it up, let me read something before I go to bed. And before you know it, you're reading, and you start to get drowsy, you start to fall asleep, you put the Kindle down and you fall asleep to a book like you did when you were probably 5. Now, as great as that may be, the Kindle is also really, really small. Like, I have very small hands, like comparatively, like I could barely fit an iPad mini into my hand, if that gives you guys any sort of context. But this thing is really small, like it fits to my hand comfortably. You could use it with one hand to scroll, do whatever shenanigans you want. If you're on a metro, if you're on a bus, you just pull it out of your bag and you could just, you know, read in your little corner whilst you're smushed in. Well, probably not now because of COVID-19, but when public transport does eventually start to get back to normal and you get smushed into a corner during rush hour and you really want to read, then the Kindle is a perfect option. One of the other things I mean when I say it eliminates the friction of reading is, how many times have you heard a book recommendation and gone like, oh, I don't want to go to the store and pick up this book because it will take time. Well, now that's essentially gone, because if you're connected to a Wi-Fi network and you've got your Kindle on you, you will hear a book recommendation. You're like, damn, let me add that to my watch list. Did I seriously just say watch list? Has Netflix really taken over my life that much? I meant reading list. Just add the book to your reading list, pay for it, or even better, try a sample. Another great thing about the Kindle eStore is that you'll find novels on there for like $1, $2, $3, at most $8 to $15. Like, that is the most that I've ever seen books go up to on the Kindle eStore. There might be more expensive novels, but that is the general range. So essentially, if you're buying a book, the knowledge that it'll have to offer you and the knowledge you'll gain, the experience you'll gain for the long run, is invaluable as compared to its price. So yeah, that's essentially what I mean when I say that it drastically reduces the friction between you and reading a book. it's great. Well, why is this thing so good for people like me, for students? Well, for the most part, you've got an unlimited arsenal of books at your disposal. So if your teacher asks you to do any sort of reading, you're like, hey, yeah, no worries, I got my Kindle, pull it out, search that book up, and you're essentially good to go. And if they don't have something specific you're looking for, if your teacher provides you with a PDF that they want you to read, or you find a PDF online, you can directly import it into your Kindle. And for all you audio junkies out there, if you much prefer listening to audiobooks instead of sitting and reading, well then the Kindle Paperwhite has full Audible support alongside Bluetooth. You guys can download audiobooks onto your Kindle and listen to them on the go. So that's another great feature for those of you guys that like listening to audiobooks. For those of you guys that might already have an existing Audible account, the Kindle works synonymously with it. And last but not least, the best feature that I find for students is that if your teacher has you reading some like insanely difficult Shakespearean language English novel, then fear no more, because the Kindle has an inbuilt dictionary in it, so you can literally just hold a word, tap it or press it again after you've highlighted it, and it brings up the definition. So if you're reading Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, but you don't know what a word means because it's super old and complex English, then you can just highlight it, search up that word, and you've got it right there. Now, I don't want this video to drag on for too long because it is a Kindle, it is not supposed to be that complicated, but let's look at some of the general pros. One of which is that you can highlight and add notes to anything that you find interesting if you're reading a book. So say for example, you find a passage particularly captivating and magnetic, then you could highlight it, and there's an app, I don't know what it's called, but if I find the name, I'll put it up on screen somewhere, where they essentially send you automated emails with things you've highlighted. So if you found something particularly empowering, then they'll send you an email with that quote, and then you'll go like, yes, I'm pumped for the day. And notes, you can literally type in quick notes directly into the Kindle. So if you want to make reference to something later, or if you've had an idea about a passage that you've been reading, you can type it in there. Another great feature about the Kindle Paperwhite is that it's got a built-in backlight as well as a matte screen. So if you've got natural light coming in and you're in a well-lit environment, then you can completely turn off the backlight and read as though it was a book. And a lot of the complaints that people have about, for example, reading off of a computer or reading off of an iPad is that it's incredibly straining on the eyes. Believe me, no one has better experience with that than myself, because I spend literally almost all day in front of a computer looking at textbooks, looking at, sample worksheets or whatnot, whatever I have from school. So having that Kindle for actual reading, like cover to cover reading, is very beneficial because it helps relieve the strain on your eyes. Another great feature of this thing is that it has a really long battery life. And when I say really long, I mean it's kind of ridiculous. Like, I've been using this thing for 5 days and it's gone down by 9% total. So you can kind of do the math and estimate that this might last you for, I don't know, a good month maybe. I don't know if you're using it like excessively, then it probably may not last you a month, because like, granted, I haven't had the most time to use it over the past week, given that I have like a plethora of assessments coming. But the time that I have, I've used it a fair amount, to be completely honest. And the fact that it's gone down 9% is pretty good. So battery life on this thing, check. This thing is actually waterproof, so you can take it to the beach, you can take it to your shower, you can read in the bath, do whatever your heart desires. Pretty sure it's got an IPX rating of 8, so you can put an IPX rating of 8. What does that mean? I'm pretty sure you can go for it's water resistant up to 2 meters for 60 minutes. So that's fantastic. If you're planning on reading underwater like an absolute weirdo, then do that, mate. The choice is all yours. However, I will not finish off this review without looking at some of the cons of this Kindle. Now, as much as I'd like to say that it's completely perfect, it's not. So one of the major drawbacks that I found with this Kindle is that it's got a pretty weak processor. And where that comes into play is that it's quite laggy when you either switch pages or when it's performing a pretty heavy, complex, taxing task. It might lag on you a little bit. Just a little bit though, but it's enough to make it noticeable, and it's enough to potentially make it a little frustrating, but that is one of the most minor cons that you could possibly have about this thing. It is fantastic. Just to demonstrate some of that lag, let me just turn it on for you real quick. Yeah, you can see that it's got a little bit of lag. You can probably see there. I don't know how well it shows up on camera, but it does have a little bit of input lag, which might make it a teensy bit frustrating. But anyway guys, that is going to be about it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, I'd appreciate it so much if you hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. And for this Kindle, you know what? I'd recommend it to the vast majority of people out there because it will change your life for the better. And if reading has been something you're looking to get into, but you just can't seem to get your head around it, then Kindle might be the solution for you. Maybe you're like me, maybe you did fall off the horse, or maybe you just need it as a student for your school. Regardless, I think it's a great investment, and for the fact that the Kindle has dropped in price so much ever since it released, I was like one of you, the people who thought that this thing was worth like 300 bucks. Well, it's not. 150 bucks for the value of your education, I think is definitely worth it. Without further ado, I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I hope you have an even better week in front of you. I'll see all of you later.